Hello everybody. So the first AOC meeting was somewhat recently, and we just got the go-ahead to talk about it. So I'm just going to summarize what AOC talked about pretty quickly. If you just want the bare minimum, there is a summary linked below. Infernal made a PDF, so you can go check that out if you want. It's going to be a lot easier to share than this video. If you don't know what AOC is, basically it's 8 community members that were elected by the community to go talk to the developers and like do meetings and talk about stuff and give feedback, and then I get to talk to you guys about what we talked about. So I'm a way for the community to give feedback. So we can't talk about everything that happened in the meeting, there's like an NDA, but we can talk about most things. So I went first in the meeting, which sure, make the new guy go first. I don't even know why I went first. Like, I'm not even first alphabetically, but yeah, so I was first and I messed up. So the way that meetings work is that a few days before the meeting, we have to submit our topics in an AOC, or in a Google form. The form for this week said, for this meeting, what is your topic? With a brief description if needed. Notice how it says topic singular, right? So I only thought we had one thing. So I only submitted one thing and I only had time to talk about one thing. So like we only get 10-15 minutes. There's a little bit of time at the end of the meetings, but like it's scuffed. I messed up. It's also a little scuffed because the community manager left and it's also the first meeting. So again, things scuffed, but I get the impression that they will get better as the year goes on. So the one topic that I did have was the illusion of choice. I made like a whole video on it and I talked about it a bit more in depth in the meeting, but basically the idea of illusion of choice is that if you want to make a build in Paladins, you have like 3 talents and 16 loadout cards to choose from, but if you actually want to make something that you're going to use, you don't actually have that many choices, right? So the solution to this is to take the cards that are like badly designed or really weak and buff them or rework them, right? So you get more variety, and that's basically like the point, right? Like Paladins, this whole shtick is variety, but if you actually like look and see like, okay, how many options do I have? You don't actually have that many. It is worth pointing out, by the way, that I will be able to explain my own topics better than like the other AOC members' topics, like just because they're my topics, I know them better. But like, I will give my thoughts on the other AOC members' topics. But the main thing that I wanted out of this first meeting was to know like how AOC was gonna work, right? And I did think that I got that. It's like next meeting, instead of bringing up like one big idea and just talking about that for like 10 minutes, I'm gonna bring up like a lot of small things. So like instead of bringing up illusion of choice, what I think I should have done was just go like, hey, this card is bad, here's an explanation why, here's some proof that it's not just me that thinks that, here's some viable solutions. I have to do like everything, and that's like a lot more work than just talking about like the theory, and it's gonna take a lot more time to actually like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get everything. That's gonna be on like the devs, but yeah, I think it's gonna have to be like a lot of small things in AOC meetings. So we'll see, but the devs' response to what I brought up, like it made sense. I think it's a reasonable response, but I think it kind of misses the point, right? Like in the response, they literally say the choices at low elo are much less likely to be punished, and like that's kind of the point, right? Is that like making choices is a mistake. So you know, I'm not entirely sure that I got my point across. I don't know. I could have done it better, and I could have explained stuff better, but again, going forward, it's gonna be a lot of small things instead of big ideas, so I think that'll work out a lot better. So yeah, I messed up this first meeting, but I'm new, I'm still getting the hang of AOC, and I think the next meeting will be a lot better. And if you want to suggest things for me to bring up in that next meeting, then like you can leave comments, or you can leave them in like the Discord or something. It's all linked below. For the stuff that Infernal brought up, so she brought up some balance changes for Betty. The devs said that they do have post-PTS buffs planned for her. I don't know what those are or what patch they're coming in. So, you know, she also talked about binary and megaton. The devs brought up that there's 3 groups of players that play their game. There's like the internal play testing, there's PTS, and there's live. So they want to see there's a tiny amount of people in the internal play tests, right? There's a slightly bigger amount on PTS. Then there's live, which is everyone, and they want to see how different balance changes happen on live sometimes before they do certain balance changes, right? Because even if it's on PTS, even if it's a lot more than their internal play tests, it might not cover everyone, which sure, it makes sense, but it's Megaton. My god, Megaton sucks. But yeah, so Jaimeras, he brought up crosshairs. The dev said that this seems time consuming to add was the big thing. Obviously customizable crosshairs would be good for the game and the devs would like it in the game, but I just don't know how much priority they're going to give it and how doable it is. But they added it to our features of quotes are hard. They added it to our list of features to potentially look into. So it took 3 people to get a we'll look into it, but we got there in the end. He talked about gold purchases. They liked the idea of 2D customization. It might be weird to add in certain places, but they are working on the gold economy and stuff. So he brought up you could buy different profile customizations or buy skins or buy parts of skins, which is weird. I didn't fully understand that. It seemed like you're just buying as you'd buy 6 parts of a skin and that would add up to a whole skin. Buy skins for gold was the short version, though. He also brought up community announcers, which I think community announcer packs would be really cool. I just think that it's funny that he brought it up and then was you could do if I was to get an announcer pack, here's what it might look like, and it's but yeah, I do think it'd be a cool idea. He talked about bans. So, bans. I'm pretty sure I can say that bans were discussed outside of meetings. There's an AOC Discord that everyone is in. Bans were definitely discussed in there. And I've sort of been talking about it in my own Discord and Walnut Yellow's Discord. Not alive. Sorry, Jaimeras talked about doing rank bans instead of account bans, which got added to the "we'll look into it" pile. But just about bans, real quick, there is a ban wave going on. As a community, as someone in the community, there's a lot more people getting banned right now than there used to be. The devs have said it's not like a script going around and banning people. It's not easy anti-cheat going around and banning people. The devs are very confident in the bans that they are giving out right now. And they said that they want to find and punish toxic players more quickly. So they are, again, I know a lot of people are getting banned and something is up, right? But the devs are confident in their ban system. The reason that I think that they're confident in their ban system is because their tolerance level, which they talk about if you read the PDF that Infernal made, that seems to be stricter, right? So I think that's what's going on. It's not necessarily that the bans are going crazy. I think it's just that Evil Mojo sort of decided to just get a lot stricter all of a sudden, which there's been discussion about that. That's all I can say. So SterileTick. So he brought up aim assist. He didn't want aim assist working on deployables, which I'm not console, so that seems cool. The devs agreed to this topic. He talked about matchmaking. Sterile talked about a thing called counterweight matchmaking, which is a bad thing that happens in Paladins when basically you will match a Masters players, a few Masters players and a few Plat players against 5 Diamond players. And that ends up feeling pretty bad for everyone because the Diamondist players are getting farmed by the Masters players, the Plat players are getting farmed by the Diamond players, and the Masters players are just trying to it turns into a really bad game of who can farm the bad players on the other team harder. It's not fun. So matchmaking has been discussed a lot, but the response to this particular thing for the devs was just kind of like explaining how matchmaking works. It didn't really like address what he said or the concerns that he had, in my opinion, so I think it's a bit weird, but again, matchmaking is definitely like more of a marked yellow sort of thing. It was discussed, that's really all I can say. Cyril also brought up a ranked playlist mode. So this is like the idea that like you wouldn't just have Siege in ranked. I think that's a weird suggestion. Again, if you want to go like more into details for specific people, like I highly recommend reading the PDF. It's really good. It's basically all the information that we can give you. Like, it's literally all the information we can give you outside of like, I mean, all the information that we can legally give you. There you go. So, yeah, it's weird. I think this is a weird suggestion because like, it's not like Siege is disliked or I don't know. I think it's a weird change, but yeah. So he also talked about the UI a bit, but yeah. Big Mac, he talked about champ pricing. Again, this is sort of like the devs kind of just said what champ pricing is. We talked about different ideas for pricing, but that's marked yellow, so I can't discuss details. But we did talk about like different ideas of pricing things. He also talked about ranked requirements. So this was a common thing. People generally want ranked requirements to be higher. The devs are fine the way that ranked requirements are for queue populations. Like, if the requirements are lower, you get more people in ranked, right? And that's like a good thing, right? I think that the issue that's trying to be solved here with raising the ranked requirements is like the super new players getting matched up in like games that they should not be in, right? So I kind of view this as a matchmaking issue, not a ranked requirements issue, but so yeah, but it was brought up. He also brought up Varric and Leon's dress as a skin. So the skin is something the devs enjoy as well. So, but like this would basically be like actually somewhat expensive to make. Like it would take a bit of time because Varric does not currently wear a dress. So if they were to make a skin for Varric that had a dress, it'd have to like also make the dress, and that's like work and stuff. So it's something that they would like to do, but I don't know how realistic it is or if it will happen or not. I hope it does. That'd be cool. King Nick, he also talked about matchmaking. So yeah, it's the same sort of idea there. Talked about lowering the queue time, just because like, you know, people are already kind of getting the not great matches. He talked about crossplay and ranked, which the devs seemed very in favor of. But I don't think they necessarily like have a feel for how the community thinks about crossplay and ranked. So how do you guys feel about crossplay and ranked? I am personally like, I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence, but I think it'd be interesting because like, I don't know, it'd be something else. You get a lot more aimbot reports if you allowed it. That's all I'll say. And then he talked about ranked requirements again. Like there's not much that hasn't been said about ranked requirements. Like it's the same thing again, basically. Alive brought up ranked rewards, which I think were mentioned. So same deal. Like you can't really talk about the response too much. And when I say like discussion, by the way, like I don't mean like there's like 20 people in this Discord voice call. Like there are a lot more Evil Mojo people than I thought there was gonna be. Like AOC is outnumbered. So like the way that this would work, right, is like Alive would give his spiel like, I think ranked rewards should be a thing because yada yada yada. And then High Res Fish, who is a developer and not me. It's really kind of confusing at times having two fishes on in the same call. But he will give his response, and then they move on to like the next thing that Alive wants to bring up, or the next person, or whatever. So it's not really a discussion, which, you know, there's just not enough time for that. We do have discussions, just not necessarily in meetings. Meetings are more for bringing up topics. Like I can say that yesterday, one of the developers did, you know, at AOC members, hey, what do you guys think about X, Y, and Z? And then after that, like, there was a discussion in the Discord channel. So there are discussions, it's just not necessarily like what the meetings are for. I've also brought up reducing time in match lobby. This was something that I was going to bring up, so I'm happy that he did. So they will look into it. They are interested in making changes, but apparently like this would actually take a while. I'm not super sure why, because like the timer is the same for, they'd have to change how draft works a little bit internally, so I don't know how /if when this would happen, but they are interested. He talked about Bomb Queen buffs, which got the same response as Infernal, basically, like there's stuff that's going to happen post-PTS. He talked about a bug with Ray, so like on PTS, I think it's a bug. Anyhow, they're looking into it, they're going to check that out and fix it or whatever. He talked about switching, being able to switch voice packs and platform indicators, and that was marked yellow. Can't discuss that, but we did discuss it. Kreepers talked about a streamer mode to prevent targeting, basically, is the short version. I've never had an issue with this, so Kreepers made a video. You're probably better off watching his video to understand it. They added it to the backlog, which means they'll look into it. Smite has a mode like this, so this is probably, you know, they like the idea. He talked about having better information like after the tutorial. So the tutorial is weird, right? So the thing that Kreepers were talking about was like, if you want to queue for a game, like there'd be like a button where you could see like what the queue is, you know? If you click on Siege, it would be a little info button, you could see what Siege is. There'd be like little mini tutorials throughout the game as you were learning it. This got talked about. The devs obviously like suggestions that help with player retention. But it is worth pointing out that I don't necessarily think the original tutorial we changed. Like the role of a tutorial, right, is to get people in and get people playing. If you just shove, in any game, if you just shove all the information up front, you're going to overwhelm the player. So the Paladin's tutorial, like, think about what it actually teaches you. It teaches you how to move and teaches you how to shoot. And that's like, if you think of the bare minimums that you need to play a game of Paladins, that's it, right? You don't necessarily need to know talents and loadouts, right, or items. You just need to know to run and shoot. So the tutorial does its job. It's short, it's quick, it gets people playing into the game, and then you want to teach them stuff over time because that is better for player retention across all games. So that's the stuff that Kreepers is talking about, the stuff like post-tutorial, which I think is a good, again, like the point of the tutorial is just to like get people in, and then you want people to learn about the game more after, especially since the first 5 levels are versus bots, right? He also talked about ranked incentives, and again, this was talked about before. They also mentioned that the gold skins took so long because they were also making like other skins on the side. So it's not necessarily that the skins were taking forever to make, it's just like they had to work on other stuff at the same time. They also wanted to point out that just color it, like you don't just color it gold. There's more work that goes into it. I can't speak to that. I don't know 3D art stuff, dude. My best art is made in MS Paint, so. Kreepers, last thing was he talked about local recordings. So this would be like the idea that like you could record your game like to a .demo file, which I made a video on how to replay games and all that, which I think would be sick. I was going to talk about something similar to this at some point, but yeah, so the devs like the idea. They don't know if it's possible, but again, we'll look into it. So yeah, that's the first meeting. Again, like, I really recommend you check out the PDF. It talks about, again, everything that we can talk about. So that's really cool. And yeah, if you got like questions or anything, or want me to clear stuff up, like let me know in the comments or the Discord or whatever. It's fun talking about this stuff. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.